following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the WZWA Network, and welcome to our review show here of XPW Xtreme Invasion from New Jersey. What a great show this was, and of course, I've got to introduce my co-host here, Jooseyboy. How you doing, bro?
Dude, I'm not doing too bad at all. It's been a crazy weekend, and it was a crazy show put on by Rob Black's XPW. You know, let's jump right into it. I didn't watch any of the prelim matches. I just watched the main card. So, yeah.
Right, I didn't know that there was any preliminary matches. Was there a pre-show? Was there?
Well, when I looked at the results, I saw that there was I think there was a prelim match.
Okay.
Well, actually, I did watch NWA as well right before, so it could actually just be all kind of blurring together.
Fair enough, bro. Fair enough. But this is kind of a different show for XPW, and welcome back to the XPW reviews here, Jooseyboy. It's not in California. It's not at the Derby Room. It's in New Jersey, so it's a different place. And we've got a different commentary team for this show. But one thing we got to talk about right out of the gate is our good friend, not Kay, aka Kurt, from the hashtag Pro Wrestling chat room on IRC on the Ryzen Network. Our good friend was there with the WZWA Network signing the crowd, bro. That's our boy right there. That's our fucking
That's
boy.
our man. That's our guy right there. Honestly, I paid for the event on Fite TV, you know, so that I could do this review of the show. And when it opened up and I just saw a WZWA Network sign, like I was like, oh, WZWA Network. What? And then,
Wait a minute.
And then I was like, oh shit. And then I'm like scanning back through the track. Fucking piss off. There's actually a WZWA Network sign there out of all places. I got a huge kick out of it. So, you know, thanks for the representation, my friend.
Yeah.
We love you for it.
Thank you, Kurt. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate the fact that every opportunity he held that sign up throughout the show. So
it was popping me after a while. Like, it was really popping me after a while that, like, even during these big, intense matches, you'd occasionally just see, like, WZWA Network. Check him out.
And also, thanks to Kat Martini for sending me a message with a picture of her taking a shot of my friend Kurt, our friend Kurt, holding up the sign. Anyway, let's get into the show, bro. So Ron Nemi, my good friend, I've interviewed him on the Insider's Edge podcast. He's on commentary with Kyle, the ring announcer. No Chris Kloss, but that was okay. I thought these two guys did well, and we started the show up here, bro.
I enjoyed the commentary.
I thought they did great. And we started off the show with the XPW heavyweight champion, MASADA, the world champion, coming out, cutting a promo, talking a bit of truth, talking, you know, in response to some of these people on Twitter with some of the bullshit that they've been going on about. And his opponent was Willie Mack for the championship. Bro, what did you think of the opening contest?
Like, to be honest, I was impressed with this. I liked the fact that we got kind of a hybrid blend of, we sort of got a bit of a typical pro wrestling style match here. And then they mixed in a little bit of the the extreme stuff here and there. And I don't know, I found it refreshing. I really enjoyed, especially what, MASADA was doing throughout the entire match. I thought that the promo itself was very fitting for XPW. I think that the way that he cut the promo and the way that he was real with it and the way that he wasn't trying to he wasn't trying to copy any other shoot promos that he's seen. He was just going out there and speaking his mind as himself, and that came across, and that kind of rawness is is perfect for XPW. So I love that. The whole package put together, I'm gonna give it a B+. It was the perfect way to set the tone for the show going forward for me. And like my favorite thing about it probably was the finish, because it surprised me in a good way that MASADA actually beat a guy of the caliber of Willie Mack in 1, 2, 3 shoulders on the mat, a wrestling match. He didn't beat him with some huge hardcore spot. So I was like, boom, they're elevating MASADA a bit. Like, there you go, he's got the chops. They mentioned he trained with Shawn Michaels. I never knew that before. That was a nice touch from commentary. Just a really good way, elevating MASADA that little bit within the XPW product without damaging Willie Mack in any way, because at this point, he's rock solid, whatever he does.
Good point, bro. Good point. And I will say this about MASADA's promo. I felt pride in seeing him address all of these trolls out there on Twitter, because a lot of you people out there, you don't know the real story. You don't really know what's going on. You have no fucking idea. You just read one thing and then you took that as fact. It's not true. All right. Just putting that one out there, because I have been talking to MASADA a little bit recently about this stuff. And, I think he's a solid guy and someone to believe in this situation. Anyway, to the match, I thought it was funny that the canvas was already a mess before the show began. Obviously, it's still a mess from the last few shows. I'm loving the hot pink on Willie Mack. I thought that was a nice touch for the outfit that he was wearing. And I thought as an opponent, it made so much sense for him to be the opponent, considering what happened at Rebirth last November, and also the show, not the last one, but the one before, where MASADA defeated Willie and Brian Cage to become the new XPW champion. So I liked that they followed up on it. I will say the skewers will never not make me cringe. That spot must suck, bro. I thought this match was very nicely built up until Mack reversing that moonsault from MASADA. And again, props to Kyle and Ron on commentary. They were popping me the whole time. I think Ron might have been the one that said, "This is just the first fucking match."
Yeah.
So
I laughed at that as well. There were so many times where it was just, oh my fucking God, like just casually like that.
It's kind of refreshing hearing people swearing on commentary. MASADA with the surprise Hurricane Rana for the win. I like the surprise. I thought that was cool, and it kind of opens up possible, maybe a rematch down the line. We'll see what happens, but I thought Vampiro was supposed to challenge again for the championship here, like he did at the previous show. I thought that's what that promo was about, but maybe Vampiro couldn't make the show. But I'm interested to find out where Willie Mack goes from here in his quest for the XPW Championship and success within Extreme Pro Wrestling. Let's move forward, bro. We have the next matchup here. Colin Delaney takes on Kit Osborne. I'll run through my notes quickly here. I thought it was great to see Colin Delaney return after his last appearance at Rebirth last November. So I thought it was cool that he came back for this show, and I do find it funny that he considers himself an ECW original. He really popped me at that show, and I popped for the fact that when he came through the curtain, no one reacted. It was really funny. It's like everyone's just like, for fuck's sake. Puts out an open challenge asking for the best that New Jersey has to offer. It's Kit Osborne. This is the first time I'd seen Kit perform. Colin, he's filled out a lot since his time in WWECW back in the day. So he's probably been around the indies for a while now, and I thought this was a nice little tight match between these two. I did like the deep arm drag from Colin early on in the proceedings. Kit with a sweet suicide dive, and Colin followed that up with one of his own. The manager that was with Colin Delaney,
it popped me, man.
I didn't know his name, And I was waiting for the commentators to mention his name, but even the commentators didn't know his name. They kept on calling him this asshole and this motherfucker. I was waiting for the name
the
of
whole
match.
tracksuit, the hat, the whole thing popped me big time, man. Like,
it is a great outfit.
yeah.
Great work from Kit and Colin. You know, there was a moonsault bump from this clothesline that Kit hit on Colin, which I thought was a nice little spot. Two little nice super kicks from Kit as he fired up. Good fire from him. He got the win. It was a nice little finish. I thought Colin was going to pick up the win, but it was Kit Osborne. What did you think of this one?
Yeah, I echoed those sentiments. I kind of agree with you. I think that this is something that I hope that they continue. I'd like to see Colin Delaney kind of continue getting in the craw of this young upstart kid that's just gotten a bit of a win, gotten a bit of a shine here over him. All in all, I think that this served its purpose in terms of it sort of got over Delaney and it got over this new kid as well, but it also was just kind of there for me. I'm going to go ahead and give it a C+. I think that I'm waiting for more from it, but there's potential there, for sure.
No worries, bro. Let's move forward. We have Jody Threat making her return to XPW after a few shows back when she challenged Taya Valkyrie for the championship, who hasn't been seen in a couple of shows. So hopefully she shows up very soon back in XPW. She takes on Mother Endless. I've never heard of her before, but I dig the presentation of the character. Good theme song, and she had the thighs out for the guys. Bro, what did you think of Jody and Mother Endless?
This actually ended up really hooking me in by the end of it. This was a very physical match. There were a number of bumps that especially Jody Threat took where I was like, oh, that looks like it hurt. I got the sense from watching it that they went out there to prove something. I think they did. I think they had really a match that, once again, I use this phrase all the time, but it works again perfectly here. This, again, felt like a real fight. Like, it just was that kind of match for me, and it really, as I said, like, it started off, I was sort of not really sure how I was going to feel about it. By the end of it, I was like, man, they worked hard. Like, oh, I was entertained by that. Like, they gave it their all. So, yeah, probably a C+.
No worries, bro. I thought it was great fire from Jody with that lung blower, followed up by the clothesline. Great knees in the corner from Mother Endless, who I was impressed by in this contest, but Jody kind of stood out more. It was a nice methodical battle between the two, and I did laugh at the finishing spot of the match with the door, because it just reminds me so much of our time in backyard wrestling, the way a door explodes. So it was a nice finish and a good win for Jody Threat. Let's see what happens with her in XPW going forward. Let's move forward, bro. The following contest after this was Hardbody taking on the Soul Taker, aka, let's just call him the End Taker. I'm not saying that word on the show here. But the Soul Taker, that character is the kind of hokiness that is so totally old school XPW. Totally fits in. I found it to be quite entertaining. Sexy Eddie came out to make this a triple threat match. I'm not sure if that was necessary, but it is what it is. I thought Hardbody again was funny with him talking about his pronouns. He's he, him, or your favorite deathmatch wrestler. That's so lame. I did like Soul Taker's shirt that said "No souls matter." That's a nice touch. There was a fan that kept on yelling "End Taker" over and over again, and I'm like, man, take it easy, all right? We get it, all right?
Like, how many times are you gonna do it? Like,
we get it, bro. It's a naughty word. It's a word that you're not supposed to say.
Wow, you're capable of saying it. Good for you. Like,
so Sexy Eddie, one thing that popped me, he pulled his pants off, and Soul Taker did not sell it whatsoever. It was like it didn't even happen. And I laughed thinking, look at these three in the ring here. Hardbody, SeXXXy, and the Soul Taker. The referee in goggles. What even is wrestling sometimes? It just looked like a ridiculous scene there. And, you know, some shit started off in the match and the commentators even said, what the fuck is going on here? Right at the beginning, because that's exactly what I was thinking. There was a needle spot. Camera angle was bad on that one. And I have to be perfectly honest with you, bro. I thought that this match wasn't very good. I thought it was a little messy. There was a spot with a glass sheet that was awkward. I did like the touch of the urn having thumbtacks inside. Then there was a choke slam onto the tacks, which was also a little bit awkward. And then Soul Taker with a jumping tombstone, and I was miffed that he didn't go for a pin.
That should have been the finish right there.
He should have pinned him and then put him in the body bag, because it took like fucking nearly a whole minute to put him in that body bag. They should have just fucked
off the whole. Like by the time they did the jumping tombstone, I'd forgotten the little flubs and stuff throughout the match. They would have had me on the match if they'd have just finished it at the tombstone, but they didn't finish it there. They lingered on for an extra few minutes, and I was like, it's actually not as cohesive as it could have been.
Yeah, I just think body bag spots always it takes too long to get people in that body bag. And that's what made it linger too long. And he should have gone for a pinfall first, because if you had the pinfall take place, then him putting him in the body bag, you're not really waiting for anything to happen, but you're waiting for that body bag to be zipped up so the match would be over. So I just think it kind of took away from the match. Soul Taker won by just zipping up the body bag. I didn't know it was a body bag match, considering everyone was going for pinfalls during the match. But yeah, it wasn't very good, and I apologize for that. So.
I just think, I think if we use Santana Jackson versus Human Tornado as the measuring stick for XPW's more comedic matches, I think that this definitely falls short of that. The thing with XPW, the way that they do their comedy is, it reminds me of something like Trailer Park Boys or Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where it's funny because of the absurdity of the situation. Like, you believe that this guy, Sexy Eddie, really is just this delusional older man that still thinks that he's just this sex god or whatever. He's hopped up on that much drugs. So, and here he is, like, in the ring just because he's a crazy son of a bitch. And it's funny, but it's not manufactured funny, which is why it works, as opposed to what the WWE or AEW or any other number of promotions try and fail to do when they try to include comedy in their product. The spirit of that was there in this match, but as Carl said, it didn't really work. I think that it would have benefited from being just Soul Taker versus one or the other. Yeah. I definitely think that Soul Taker should take more time to do things a bit more properly and really take it a bit more seriously what he's doing. I understand that it's a parody gimmick, but the parody will actually be funnier the more accurate the imitation is. And the more solid that his stuff actually is, the more entertaining the overall gimmick will be, even though it's a parody gimmick, because it's going to be, if he gives it his all, like, it will be entertaining to its maximum amount. Whereas at the moment, it just seems like he's going through the motions a little bit and he's not quite fully embracing it. So I'm going to go ahead and say C-, because I didn't really hate it. I ended up being entertained by, several things throughout it.
Yeah. No worries, bro. We cut to a promo from Cat Martini with the open challenge for the XPW Fight TV Championship. Nice jeans, Cat. I like it. Sage Sinn then cuts a promo accepting that challenge. I thought that this would be quite interesting. So Kat comes out with Ludark Shaitan, who is going to take most of this match against Sage Sinn Supreme. So what did you think of this interesting situation?
Yeah, I gotta tell you, this one ended up pulling me in as well. I think as this was first getting started, you know, I think that they were kind of trying to find their footing a little bit, but I think they ended up getting into a nice flow as the thing unfolded. I think that there was, you know, it's going to sound kind of generic, but I mean this in the most complimentary of ways. I mean, it just felt like they went out there, they gave it everything that they had. I feel like there was no flubs in this match. There was no moments where I felt like, oh, you know, they're obviously cooperating, trying to pull this off. Everything kind of felt rock solid. They didn't try to do all this overly complex bullshit. They just made it pretty much like a fight. I loved the involvement of Kat Martini here and there, doing a very good job to emphasize the fact that she's not an in-ring competitor. And so therefore, everything that was done to her physically had that much more impact. Like, for example, when she took the light tubes and, you know, she's almost like in shock, you know, on that apron, and then, you know, crumpling down off the apron after taking the light tubes into that lovely blonde hair, you know, like so I thought that element of the story was really well done. And I think that there's more potential there with Kat Martini kind of having what would you call it, like surrogates that can represent her in the ring.
Yeah.
With her acting more as like a manager / mouthpiece. So I'd give this a C+ as well. I thought this was probably a bit better than I expected it to be, actually.
No worries, bro. Kat came out again. Loved the theme song, Kat, and also those pants, hubba hubba. I was interested to see what would happen here, bro. And I knew that Ludark was probably going to take most of this match, and she pretty much did. I did like the initial tube to the head of Kat Martini. I thought she did great with everything that took place where she was physically involved, when she was thrown into that guardrail, even when she started, you know, hitting people with tubes. I thought she did a great job, and it was like she had been doing it for quite some time. Sage goes through the door. It was a nice spot, a good war between these two. These two have worked together a few times now, and they seem to have some pretty good chemistry. I did laugh when Ludark took a light tube to the crotch, and the commentator said, right in the pussy. And I said, Jesus Christ, boys. Take it easy. It's just weird hearing that word on a wrestling show. Ludark onto the tacks. And then Sage finally got a hold of Kat. And then a few other great spots here with Ludark going through that barbed wire door. And then more tubes to Kat Martini. And then that fucking spot with Sinn going through the glass on the outside. Rough stuff. And then Kat eventually got the pin. And it was a little bit of a messy finish with the referee's count, but, you know, that's okay. That's just nitpicking. But I thought that this was pretty good. Let's move forward, bro. I like that they were playing the XPW TV skits between the matches. So there was a few things here and there with High Pitch Will in Rob Black's office, with these stupid pictures of referee that's with Jasmin and Necro Butcher storming the Capitol. Just so clearly photoshopped. But yeah, I thought that was great to show highlights of what happened at the last show when this group, the Mega Maga, was formed. We have an intermission after this, and then soon after that, Born in the USA starts playing. Here comes Mega Maga with Maga Butcher. Necro comes out. I'll run through.
It popped to me that he continued calling him that even when referencing him. Like when referencing past matches, he'd call him the Maga Butcher as well, even though he's only the Maga Butcher as of this show. Like,
unbelievable, right? So yeah, it was interesting hearing Necro cut a promo. A nice fresh thing to see. His opponent was Bobby Beverley, who, as we know, won Tournament of Death 19 last weekend. So right early on, Necro is in charge. Polls Beverley on that ring post. I liked the heat that Necro got on Bobby Beverley here. Polling him on the rail. He did put it through the merch table, and the camera shot was really bad for that. These things happen. I did laugh at Bobby lobbing a chair, and it landed on Necro's head and it just stayed there. That was a cool little spot. Here comes the pencil. Fucking Necro stabbing him in the head with the pencil. And a lot of tube shots from the Bev. And Necro was pissing with blood. Bev was pissing with blood. This is what we want to see. Not Kurt, our good friend at ringside with the network sign again. And then Necro got hit with tubes from Beverley, and you can see the glass fly and hit Kurt. So I found that funny. Suck shit, bro. Most of this match was on the outside of the ring. And I have to say, I did pop for the hardcore hillbilly comping that fucking suplex.
Yeah, so did that was like my favorite part of the match, to be honest with you.
Oh man, referee Martini bulldogged off the fucking ring apron through a fucking door, dude.
Oh man,
what a spot!
That was gnarly. That bump.
This great double underhook sit down powerbomb by Necro. That was a surprise coming from him for a near fall. Good cane shots from Jasmin as she, got involved as she should. And then Necro locks in the sleeper to interrupt and then eventually chokes out the Bev. And a big win for Necro Butcher, aka Mega Butcher. And I also want to give props to Jasmin St. Clair and her top that she was wearing. Very, very nice. Thank you. Jooseyboy, what did you think of this one?
Yeah, I'd probably give it a B+. I thought that this was this was what I want to see out of a Mega Butcher match, out of a classic Mega Butcher match. That's exactly what I'd hope to see. I think that's what we've got. I think that doing the whole Trump supporting thing, I think it's humorous. I think that people that are sort of in on the joke are going to laugh at it, and then people that actually support Donald Trump and stuff like that, they're going to enjoy it as well because they actually support it. So it's going to be a win-win for everyone in that regard. Necro Butcher, of all people, seems to be so fitting for this kind of a gimmick. Like, I don't know why I'm finding it so funny.
It's funny seeing him wear the fucking little hat.
the little hat, but with nothing else changed about him at all. Like,
yeah. Brilliant, hey?
Probably hasn't even washed the jeans since the last match. Like, so I thought that they actually ended up having a really good little match. I was impressed with Bobby Beverley. The name Bobby Beverley pops me, so right from the beginning, I was kind of like, man, that is such a wrestler name, like Bobby Beverley. Like, but no, he ended up working really hard, and I actually thought he had some decent chemistry with Mega Butcher. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more of him. But yeah, really enjoyed this one too. This might have been my favorite on the show up to this point when I was watching.
And what's your rating?
I gave it a B+.
You gave it a B+. Okay, very good. Let's move forward then, bro. We have another three-way matchup here. Lucky 13 takes on, I've seen him once before, I believe, takes on the Green Phantom, who I'm seeing for the first time. And of all people in this match, it's Wax. I'm not sure if you're very familiar with Wax, Jooseyboy, but I think he's only wrestled once in the last 10 years from my research. I could be wrong, though, but just on cagematch.net, it said that I think the last match he had was like 2019, and then before that, nothing since 2012. So that was interesting seeing him kind of come out of retirement for this. What did you think of this three-way?
I enjoyed it. Like, I thought it had a sense of fun to it. Like, this show to me had exactly the right amount of XPW fun factor to it. Like, that's the lame way that I'm using to describe it, because I don't have a better term. But it's in a way that ECW has its own feel, or like Attitude Era Raw has its own feel. You know, XPW, it's got its own feel. It's got a unique thing that it's not quite ECW or CZW, and it's not quite Lucha Underground either. It's this weird kind of cable access soap opera slash reality TV show, and the line between kayfabe and reality is so thin, because I really think a lot, like, the only thing that's worked half the time is just the matches, and everything else is very much like off the cuff by the performers. So yeah, this triple threat pretty much embodied that. I'm gonna give it a B minus.
Very nice, bro. The crowd were clearly behind Wax on his entrance. They're all happy to see him back out there. Lucky 13, I have to say, I found him to be a palate cleanser on this show. I thought he had some nice movement and some good high-flying antics that did not insult the intelligence of the viewer. Wax copying the tubes, and he sells it the way it should be by going down. I'm kind of not a fan of people taking tube shots and still standing.
Yeah, and just
I think Yeah, I think it's a better effect when people actually bump something like that to make it. I mean, we all know when you get hit by a light tube, nothing actually really hurts that bad. I've been hit with a tube before. You can just stand there and be like, okay. But if you sell it right, then it makes the effect better. So Phantom hit that suplex standing on a chair onto the other open chair. Yeah. I thought that was some wild shit.
That was awesome.
Barbed wire in Wax's mouth, I think, was probably the best visual of the show with the crimson mask.
That was awesome.
Very good stuff. Wax found the camera for that moment, and he also goes through a sheet of glass. I thought Lucky 13 shined the most in this match, but holy shit, dude, when Wax fucking jumped off the fucking balcony and went through that table, he hit so hard onto the ground through that door, and I wrote, maybe this is why he only wrestles once every 10 years.
Yeah, that was fucking nuts, man.
Wow, dude,
that bump. That was definitely like the highlight of XPW since they've come back. That's one of their big highlights of this era of XPW so far. Like, when I saw it, I was just like, oh fuck, man, like, he might be really hurt. Like,
yeah, that's one for the highlight reel for years to come with XPW. Anyway, I was surprised to see that the Green Phantom picked up the win here with the Phantom Menace onto the chair, which I thought was fucking nuts.
I popped for the name and for the move, but I gotta say, the Phantom himself, I found his movements to be a bit robotic. I'd like to see him loosen up a little bit in the ring. Everything that he does right now seems very training school, in the sense that it looks all right, but it looks like he's focused more on pulling it off, and it's not feeling like it's natural. It's just feeling very choreographed to me. Anyway, nitpicking. Let's move
That's
on.
all right, bro. And the last note that I had was that Wax looked fucking messed up after the match. But props to him, man. Like, he fucking put in the time. And he maximized his minutes. Sassafras. Drake Younger promo followed up with a nice little music video with like kind of the history of the King of the Deathmatch title within the new era of XPW, which I thought was pretty cool, or at least like the death matches that have taken place, because we're hyping up our main event here, bro. And our main event is for the King of the Deathmatch Championship. It is SHLAK, the champion, defending once again against the one and only Drake Younger, who made his return at the previous show to pro wrestling. And he is back here to challenge SHLAK for the belt. And you can find my exclusive interview with both of those men on the Insider's Edge podcast on this channel. Jooseyboy, what did you think of the main event of the evening?
Yeah, you know what? I was very, very impressed by it. am a pretty big fan of SHLAK. On and off fan of Drake Younger. Wasn't sure what to expect from him here. Regardless of anything else, man, I think he pulled out all the stops in this match. I think that you could see a hint of ring rust from Drake Younger here and there, but I think that it was virtually non-existent. I think that one or two more matches down the line and he'll be firing on all cylinders right now. I felt like he was kind of maybe 90% of the way there in this match. Having said that, though, I think that SHLAK had one of the best matches I've seen of his career so far. I felt like there was just another level from SHLAK in this match here. I felt like I could see it on his face that there was something to prove. I felt like he really was like, I'm in the main event. It's Drake Younger. He's just made his return. He's sort of a folk hero within the hardcore deathmatch community, within the annals of deathmatch wrestling history. I'm going to go out there and try to create a special moment for my own career and for my own legacy. I'm just speculating, but that's what I felt like when I was watching him perform in this match. So I'm going to give this main event match an A- because it was worthy of being the main event. It felt like a main event. It was more special and felt more dramatically high stakes and intense than anything else on the show. And in my mind, that is a good main event.
Very nice, bro. Yes, I thought this was definitely match of the show. My heart ached a little bit because Misha Montana did not come out with SHLAK for this matchup, but that's okay. It's all right. I've got to get over it. This is a deathmatch dream match right here. These two never worked together before, and only in XPW we see a match like this. Between these two guys from kind of almost two different eras of deathmatch, even though Drake Younger looks like he's still in his 20s. But the guy's been, out of the scene for quite some time, and it's good to see him back. And he's drinking from the fountain of youth, bro. I did pop for SHLAK hitting a Japanese arm drag early on.
Yeah, me too.
And the commentators commented on it like, I can't believe I just said SHLAK with a Japanese arm drag. Early on, man, Drake goes through a tube table at ringside, kind of skids off the side of it a little bit. They really copped it in this matchup. I really like the spot with SHLAK smearing glass into Drake's upper shoulder area and then biting him. And I thought the selling from Drake made it seem like it was actually fucking hurting real bad. That's how you're supposed to do it. The suplex from inside the ring to the outside through the two tables with tubes on it. Bro, insane. I thought that was probably the second spot of the show after Wax died off the balcony. SHLAK with a leg drop off the ropes with the tubes. I thought that was great. This just kept building up, and all these spots were so great, and nothing again insulted the intelligence of the viewer. Drake setting some tubes up and an amazing superplex off the top rope on SHLAK, which is no easy feat, let me tell you that. And Drake's back was so drenched in blood. It was a great visual. And SHLAK copping a half Nelson suplex. Man, I was so impressed with SHLAK's work in this match. I hadn't seen him take a bump like that before. And I thought, Drake really made him look good. And, he made Drake look good as well. That's what this is all about. Then again, upping the ante more, Drake with a frog splash onto the tubes on SHLAK. We get a near fall. SHLAK reversing a vertebraker and then puts him through some glass, and then an Olympic slam for a 2 count. Then a backdrop driver from SHLAK. Then a short lariat with the tube, and I thought that was a great finish. We have a winner, and SHLAK retains the championship. Who will topple SHLAK, bro? He's on a hell of a run since winning the championship at Karlifornia earlier this year. And then after the match, Necro Butcher attacks SHLAK with, the Mega Maga with him. I thought Drake might have been joining the team here, but he didn't see any sort of interaction between him and the group. So who knows? But one thing I will say, one little low light, just a small thing. Uncle Hillbilly, please work on your stomps, mate, please. And I did find it funny that Necro stuffed the MAGA hat on SHLAK's head like a calling card. And I guess we're headed towards a rematch between SHLAK and Necro, or the MAGA Butcher, at a future event. So great main event, man. What a great way to end the show.
Yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts and a rating for the show here, Juicy?
I'm gonna probably give the show probably a B-, and if I'm gonna give it a number rating, which I always do, I'd say 7.5. I think that I'd like to give it higher, a bit of a higher rating, but I still think that there is room for improvement in terms of the overall cohesiveness of the events. However, the overall vibe, the atmosphere, the feel, the tone, however you want to say it, it's just perfect. It's like an adults only. It's not trying too hard to be edgy and be offensive, though. They're literally just, it seems like the old XPW spent a lot of their time trying a little bit too hard to be offensive and edgy. Over here, they still do a little bit of that stuff, but it feels much more like we're having fun with it. And we don't give a fuck whether or not, what anyone thinks about it. And it feels a little bit more organic and authentic in that way. So I'm excited to see where they go from here with it.
Yeah, really cool, bro. I'm digging the fact that they don't care and that they're just gonna do these stories or have these groups form with the backdrop of what the story's about. Because they're heels. They're heels. And right, you see all these people on Twitter being like, oh, fuck XPW, cancel XPW. Why do people support this shit?
Wrestling is a reflection of culture.
Exactly. You can't not do something just because it kind of hurts your feelings a little bit. Why? They're playing characters. You don't watch Law and Order and then want to cancel the guy because the guy on the show is a rapist or a murderer. It's a character. It's an actor playing a role. These are wrestlers, yes, but they're playing a role. There's nothing wrong with it.
Capitalizing on the fact that there's a lot of political division in the United States right now between these MAGA Republicans and everyone else, and so they're simply incorporating that into the fictional reality of the show. That's it. They're not actual MAGA supporters. Some of them may very well hold those views in their private lives, but none of them have expressed it publicly. These are characters that are performing a gimmick that they hope will draw them heat as the bad guys on the wrestling show.
Yeah, that's it, bro. And I guess I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than the last XPW show there in Pomona, California, a few weeks ago. Just a little bit more than that show. But I thought it was great. It was good to see XPW in a different setting as well. So, again, looking forward to more XPW going forward. Jooseyboy, thank you so much for your time here today to review this show with me, XPW Xtreme Invasion.
No fucking worries, mate. It was my pleasure.
And thank all of you out there for joining myself, Karlifornia, and my friend Jooseyboy here for our review show here of XPW Xtreme Invasion from New Jersey. And we will see you down the fucking road.
Network, that's the way we play. Good God Almighty. Network, that's the way we play. Get puppies. Network, that's the way we play. Get.
The following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.